Hi, everybody. I'm just honored and grateful to be at LA Family Housing. I've been coming here for several years bringing clients, but I've really didn't know all that they do. And when you want to learn about something, you go right to the top. And this is Stephanie, and she's the president and CEO of LA Family Housing. So tell me a little bit about what you do here.
Well, LA Family Housing, as you know, helps families transition out of homelessness and poverty. And we're able to do that by providing folks with access and resources from temporary housing to permanent housing, fully enriched with services along that continuum.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
But you have like 22 apartment buildings.
We do.
How do you manage all that?
That's a good question. How do we manage all of it? So, in addition to our 3 temporary housing, some people call them shelters. I don't like to call them shelters because in a lot of ways, shelters connotes a one-night stay.
Right.
Coming in at 6, leaving at 6 in the morning. LA Family Housing has a program-based model. So all of our temporary housing has all of their resources on site. We have 2 programs for families and 1 for single adults. And all 3 of them provide access to employment counseling, to youth programming. We're here in our library at TLC, mental and physical health programs, financial literacy, and comprehensive case management.
So let me try to understand that.
I'm saying too much, sorry.
No, you're saying great, but for those that are listening that might not quite understand homeless services, and so you don't have the model that kicks people out every day. Instead, you're plugging them into the services they need, whether it be employment counseling.
Yes. So our goal is that residents leave LA Family Housing's temporary housing.
Right.
Leaves LA Family Housing stronger than when they came in.
Right.
And to give them the resources while they're here. But in addition to the temporary housing, we provide along a full continuum, and we also provide permanent housing. As you said, we have 22 apartment buildings throughout the city of Los Angeles, 1 building in Inglewood. And those apartments are all provided for low-income families, some of whom came out of our temporary housing or our shelters, and others who just came from the community in need of affordable housing. Yeah. But in addition to the affordability, we're committed to housing stability, to ensuring that the families stay stable and successful in permanent housing once they move out of our shelters.
Now, we were talking earlier, and I think this is so important. You're talking about how you're changing the paradigm of the word success, especially when it comes to homeless families. Could you talk about that?
So I think in many cases, the homeless community, the service provider community has defined success as going from street to home, as going from a condition of homelessness into permanent housing. And our culture at LA Family Housing recognizes that that's a long journey, and that success is defined differently for every person and for every family. So for some families who have been living in their car and their kids have sporadically attended school, success may just be engagement in their education. It may be participation in their faith community again. And of course, it's placement into permanent housing, but more than that, it's stability in that housing.
That's so important. I came here, you guys let me in and introduced me to some families. One saying to me.
They're amazing.
They sang to me. It was great. I've never had a family sing to me.
Oh, yeah.
But what was,
Those kids are cute.
what really struck me was they're large families, and often shelters do the best they can, but they have a cutoff at 3 kids or 4 kids. And, you can argue, well, they shouldn't have had the kids. Well, who cares? Because right now, here in reality, you have 5, 6, 7 homeless kids and a mom.
Right.
And you take them in.
Right. So LA Family Housing, from my assessment, has one of the lowest barriers to entry than most shelter and homeless service providers.
Clarify that?
Meaning, we don't have restriction that it's only vets, or it's only people with HIV/AIDS, or that you have to be sober, or that you can't have teenage kids, or you can't have a male adult in the household. We take any and everybody that's in need.
So you say yes.
We say yes.
I like that.
We say
yes.
Oh,
that's your new tagline.
We say yes. That's what it takes. That's kind of our tagline.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, that's what we provide.
Yeah.
And so we're really able to serve across a whole spectrum. We also very intentionally have the physical design to accommodate that.
Right.
Meaning, this particular housing, this is our Sidney M. Ermis Transitional Living Center where 65 families live. This particular housing allows every family to have their own unit.
Right.
Most homeless shelters don't have that luxury.
Right.
And so
it's
they
very
have,
important.
it is, but I recognize the limitations that other
Right,
people
right. They're
face.
doing the best they can.
Because of the limitations of their physical space, they'll have all the men and boys on one side and all the girls and women on another side, which means that a teenage boy can't be with his mom.
Right,
And it means that a single dad can't be with his little girls.
right.
Here at LA Family Housing, we accommodate large families. We accommodate differently structured families. We have multi-generational families. Right now, we've got a mom and dad with grandma and 4 kids, including a teenage boy,
Wow.
living
Wow.
together. And we do believe that staying together facilitates their housing stability and their progress.
It does. It's huge. It's huge. Briefly, let's talk a little bit about how the face of family homelessness has changed, and how also the climate on solutions and
Yeah.
and support and what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. So the face has changed. At the same time that you're having increased chronic homelessness, which is mostly just defined by length of time that a
Right.
family's been homeless, you also have an increase in first-time homelessness. And really the economic recession that our country has faced, and particularly here in Los Angeles, you're seeing families who for the first time are experiencing homelessness. And it may not even be due to job loss. It may be that they were a tenant in a building that was foreclosed upon.
Right.
But the lack of savings and the ability to take time out of a maybe hourly paying job to go and look for an apartment that they can afford and come up with the security deposit, which is often 3 months rent. You could be upwards of $3,000, $5,000 just to move. That becomes prohibitive for folks,
Right.
and they end up homeless.
Right.
So the range of who's experiencing
The
homelessness.
fun of unedited video and recording in a homeless shelter.
Clearly, we've got a large family moving in, and so we're adding more beds to a room.
Well,
That's what
good,
we're hearing
good.
above. But because who is experiencing homelessness has broadened, the way we respond and the resources we provide had to shift as well.
Yes.
So we were fortunate to participate with the rapid rehousing program that was funded through the federal stimulus package. That was a 3-year program, and we impacted first-time homeless families and got them rapidly replaced into permanent housing. They didn't need to come into the shelter system.
Right.
They just needed to find and need assistance to get into permanent housing.
Now I understand that program's been cut.
It has.
So-
It was always a 3-year program,
Right.
but it had such tremendous success across, I believe across the country, but particularly here in Los Angeles. It had such tremendous success that there is somewhat of a redirection and reallocation of some other funds so that we can
Cool.
continue providing that kind of rapid rehousing dollars.
Because
We might have a guess.
That's all right. Because the it proved, that the model of preventing homelessness had huge impact.
Yes.
And so does education. And one of the things we were talking about with Chris, who's amazing,
Yes.
is the length of time that a family is actually here, that you get to do some education and some life skills development.
Right. So the definition of transitional housing itself has changed. What used to be a program that provided stability for 24 months, up to 24 months, although our family's average stay was closer to 7 to 8 months, that has been shortened. And shelter stays have been shortened. But the impact of that, there's some benefits, but the drawbacks are pretty significant. The family has less time for saving. They have less time for going through a life skills curriculum or a financial literacy curriculum. We're redefining all of that to accommodate the shorter stays. One of the things that I was just hearing from staff yesterday, a big impact that our families are feeling, is we may be placing them more quickly into an affordable housing unit, permanent housing, but we're placing them without beds and refrigerators.
Gosh, that happens way too often.
Like, we're doing home visits, checking in, because our commitment is to their housing stability, so we stay connected to all of our residents for up to a year.
I've seen that happen where
But we're walking into their apartments and they don't have a refrigerator.
right, there's grant money to get them an apartment.
Right.
And the pressure is, you know, it's good hearts, let's get them off the streets. And the pressure is, okay, let's get that number of somebody housed.
Right.
And people aren't realizing, oh my gosh, you're putting them in a bare apartment. No
Right.
curtains, no bed,
Right.
not even a fork. You know what I mean? And that's, that's a great way for faith-based orgs and community volunteers and businesses to adopt as people are moving in. So,
Right, right.
how can people support you? I know you got a new website.
We do have a new website. Go onto our website, see the work that we're doing, and become engaged with our residents. Learning who they are, working with them directly, not just changes you, but it changes how we provide services to them.
Yeah. Well, thank you for spending the time. And
Thanks so much.
thank you. They have a very open policy, and they've let me come in and do stories and want me to come back and do stories. So we'll be occasionally getting updates from not only the families here, but also what's going on in LA family housing. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.